ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकय चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरि वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नम ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So I welcome all the devotees for our Gajendra Lila Katha series. I believe this is session 10 in our flow of the narrative description of this pastime. We have reached up to text 26 of chapter 2, canto 8. So in today's discussion, we'll go from text 27 to text 33. So today we will be discussing about the attack of the crocodile and Gajendra's consciousness during that attack. Class may be little over time because we want to make sure that we finish up this section today. As we have repeated in the past, it is always nice that during the discussions, wherever our devotees are in distress, we can always narrate that very quickly so that it is not painful for them. As we know, Krishna Katha or Krishna's holy name, Krishna Nam, Krishna Lila, etc., they're all non-different from Krishna. So when we are hearing Krishna Katha, which is an incarnation of Krishna, we are actually getting an entrance into the pastime of that Lila. So there are different kinds of Krishna Katha incarnations. One is definitely the historical pastime of Gajendra. So when Gajendra's Leela took place, that is one incarnation of this pastime. Another incarnation of this pastime is through sound vibration. Whenever we speak about it, since it is an eternal reality, one is getting an entrance into that realm. For example, all the pastimes mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam are being played, are being enacted, are being manifested in some universe or the other at the moment. At some point, Krishna is stealing butter at this point. In some universe, Narasimhadev is appearing at the moment. In some universe, we have the pastime of Bali Maharaj going on at the moment. And we see there are Kalpa Bheda Leela, which means different times when the same pastime is enacted, there are different kinds of details. Not every time Narasimhadev has to appear in a specific way out of the specific pillar for a specific purpose. There could be variety in those pastimes. So similarly, we find this pastime that we are hearing, it probably is happening somewhere in this whole material creation with, of course, variety in details, but the principles will remain the same. So when we hear about these pastimes, we are getting a direct commentary, a direct broadcast from that specific universe. So when we are hearing about Krishna stealing butter, it's not that we are hearing some pastime which is 5,000 years old. Krishna at the present moment is stealing butter in some creation, some material universe. So when we are talking about it and we are hearing about it and we are thinking about it, we are actually having the same experience that the gopis are having in that specific universe when Krishna is at the moment stealing butter, because they're seeing Krishna, they're hearing his whisper, and at the same time they're thinking and meditating about the experience. And that same realm of spiritual hearing, remembering, and speaking is pulled down in the realm of mankind through oral reception. So this is the second incarnation. First is, of course, the incarnation historically when it happens, and second is when it re-enter the Leela through sound vibration, and the third is when the Leela takes place and it plays itself in the consciousness of the great liberated souls. That's how the acharyas are writing commentaries. We sometimes see that in the Bhagavad Gita, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes conversations between the verses. So someone will say that how is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur knowing that at this point Arjuna asked this, to which Krishna replied, and this is why this specific word has been used in the verse, because that is not explained by Sanjaya to Dhritarashtra Maharaj. However, what Sanjaya is explaining is what is happening real time. But what Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is explaining is the replay of that same pastime in his consciousness. So there will be variety which he is outpouring for those in whose consciousness this pastime is not played. So for us who are not at the moment present to witness the first type of incarnation, and who are not spiritually pure enough to witness the third kind of incarnation in the consciousness, then we are very privileged to take advantage of the second option of incarnation, which is by hearing about the pastime. So let us welcome our consciousness in this series of Krishna Katha. And one should never think that, oh, I know this pastime. Oh, I have heard this pastime. Oh, I know these details. Because true knowledge always comes with humility. Knowledge always flows like water from up to down. It always comes down. It always makes one humble. The tree without fruits is always standing tall. But the tree with fruits actually ends up bending because of the weight of those fruits. So those devotees who actually are filled with transcendental knowledge, they are developing the fruits of humility, as a result of which, by the weight of that humility, they are able to bow down and hear these narrations forever. Also, another important point to be noted is that the fact that we have known a certain pastime is not in recollecting or memorizing verses or passages or details of that pastime. That is not the proof that we have known it. The proof that we have actually grasped the essence of a certain pastime is cleansing of the heart. And when the heart or the consciousness gets cleansed, it gives rise to a desire that I want to hear it again. Because previously when we heard it, our consciousness was, let's say, at 5 units. So by hearing it, our consciousness has become raised spiritually and elevated spiritually. So now let's say it has become 10 units. So the symptom that there is a raise in consciousness is the desire to hear that same pastime again. So if we know a certain pastime, then we will have increased desire to hear that pastime again. So with that mood, we all who have heard the pastime of Gajendra so many times can dive into these pages of Srimad Bhagavatam to allow Shukadev Goswami to be the speaker, Parikshit Maharaj to be the primary listener, and all of us get an entrance into this pastime on the banks of the Ganga to witness this historic conversation between these two great souls. So I request all the devotees to kindly turn to Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 2, Text 27 onwards, so that we can start reading 27. Since we are going to go from 27 to 33 today, till the end of the chapter, 6 verses, because as we were mentioning, since this pastime is happening real time, we don't want our Gajendra to be in the jaws of the crocodile for 2 sessions. So we will somehow relieve him today. Not with the Sudarshan Chakra, but the relief comes when he takes shelter of Krishna. That's where the true relief comes in. So we will try and aim to go up to that point of 6 verses. So even if we go a little over time, I hope the assembly of Vaishnavas will kindly forgive me. So let's move to text 27, Canto 8, Chapter 2, text 27. Tam tatra kaschendrupadaiva chodito graho baliyam charane rushagrahi yadrechayaivam vyasanam gato gajo yatha balam soti balo vichakrame. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. By the arrangement of providence, O king, a strong crocodile was angry at the elephant and attacked the elephant's leg in the water. The elephant was certainly strong, and he tried his best to get free from this danger sent by providence. So let's just spend some time paying attention to the different Sanskrit verses in this Sanskrit words in this verse. So Shukdev Goswami starts this verse by saying Tam. So Tam refers to Gajendra. Which Gajendra? Now all the previous verses which describe Gajendra's mood of enjoyment with his family, with his female elephants, with respect to his children, his strength, and how he was so powerful and his prowess was so famous that all the other animals trembled in fear, including the lions and the tigers. So all of that description gets wrapped up in the first word, which is Tam. So that we don't have to repeat the same description again, Shukdev Goswami says, that Gajendra who has been previously described at great length, that Gajendra. Next word is Tatra. Tatra means there. So where? So all the description describing the milk ocean, the emeralds, the Trikuta mountains, the main three peaks, the other sub mountains with their valleys filled with precious stones, the different kinds of birds, the different kinds of flowers, the different kinds of trees and medicinal herbs, and the waterfalls, the ponds and the waters filled with different kinds of animals and aquatics, etc. That place which is so scenic that even the demigods are rejoicing and their bodies are anointed with fragrant oils, which they are gifting the environment with by sharing their association. So that place which has been described in great detail, that is wrapped up together in the word Tatra. So Tam refers to that Gajendra who has been described in great detail, and Tatra refers to that scenic, beautiful place which has been described in the past with great details and attention to different intricate descriptions. So that Gajendra at that point in that place, what happened? Kaschit. Kaschit refers to somehow this happened. Somehow. So this represents many moods. One mood is talking about the crocodile, someone who's going to be described in the future, or it refers to somehow, which later gets augmented with two other adjectives. The first adjective is Daiva Choditaha, which means that which was orchestrated by the demigods. Second adjective used again is Yadrichaya Evam, again meaning that which was orchestrated by the demigods or which happened by the will of providence. So two times the same word has been used. You see in this verse, Tam tatra kaschit nrupa daiva choditaha. Now the word daiva comes from the derivation deva. Deva could refer to the demigods or deva could refer to Krishna. So if you consider deva to be the demigods, then the meaning of daiva choditaha is that Gajendra who had prarabdha karma from past life. So as we know, we will see in the next to next chapter, chapter 4 of this canto, that Gajendra was King Indradyumna in his past life who had a curse. So if that story has to be taken into perspective, then Daiva Choditaha would mean Prarabdha Karma from past life, the curse from past life, which was Karmana Daiva Netrena, according to karma, and which was supervised. There was the supervision of the demigods. So Kashchit here refers to, let's say, the crocodile, which was acting as the via medium to facilitate to Gajendra the Prarabdha Karma. So Daiva Choditaha, if we refer to the demigods, would refer to the story of the curse of Gajendra, meaning how the demigods are supervising the flow of karma. However, if the word Daiva refers to Deva, which is Krishna, because Krishna is called Deva also, He Deva, He Daita, He Bhuvanaika Bandho, He Krishna, He Chapala, He Karunaika Sindho, He Natha, He Ramana, He Nayana Bhirama, Ha Ha Kadanu Bhavitasi Padam Drishorme. So Krishna is called Deva by Bilva Mangala Thakur and other acharyas because the word Deva comes from Diva Dhatu. Diva means Divya, transcendental. Deva means he who is very effulgent. Deva also means he who is very playful. So who is that person who is transcendental, who is very effulgent, and who is supremely playful? That is Krishna. So if you take Daiva to be demigods, then that refers to Prarabdha Karma from past life, the curse that Gajendra received, that King Indradyumna received. And if you take Daiva to be Krishna, then this pastime is Krishna's intervention, just to show the world how if someone takes shelter of his protection, then the Supreme Lord will personally protect him from all problems. Or Krishna's intervening, Daiva Choditaha, in this pastime, to show the world the glory of his devotee, like Gajendra, to show how bhajan, bhakti from past life, never goes in vain. So these are the two prominent meanings. Therefore, the word Daiva Choditaha has two meanings, and it also gets supported by Yadrichaya Evam in the same verse of the third line. So in this way, these are the two adjectives to Kaschit, and if that is the situation, and if Kaschit refers to the crocodile, then the support here is Graha. Graha after Daiva Choditaha refers to the crocodile. So tam tatra Kaschit nripa Daiva Chodito Graho Baliyan Charane Rusha Grahi. So Graha refers to the crocodile. What is the crocodile doing? Rusha Agrahit. Agrahit means to grasp, to accept. Grahanam. Grahanam means to graha, to accept. Like the deity is called Vigraha. Vi means Vishesha, in a very special way. And Graha means Grahanam, to accept. So he who accepts all your offerings, all your loving sentiments in the form of a deity, that person is called Vigraha. That is Vigraha avatar. Archa Vigraha, like that. So Graha means to accept. So Rusha Agrahit. Rusha means Rosha. Rosha means anger. So with anger, this Graha, this crocodile is accepting. What is he accepting? Charana. He is accepting the feet. You see, Shukdev Goswami is such a wonderful narrator. He is not saying the word bite. He is not saying the word attack. He is not giving a negative connotation to this whole pastime. He is just saying when Gajendra went into the water, at that time, by the will of providence or by the intervention of Sri Krishna's mercy, the crocodile there, Baliyan, Bala means strength, that strong crocodile, he with anger accepted the feet of Gajendra, which for the listener, we are free to interpret that he actually bit upon. He chewed into the flesh of Gajendra, and there was bleeding and there was profuse pain. But Shukdev Goswami doesn't say it like that. He just says Rusha Agrahit. He accepted with anger. And at the same time, how wonderful that in the first line, Shukdev Goswami uses the word Nripa. Now the word Nripa is Nrin Pati iti Nripa. Nripa means a king. And the specific meaning of the word Nripa means, so the word Nr means man, human beings. That's why the Supreme Lord is called Nrisimha also. Simha means lion and Nr means man. Nara means man, therefore he's also called Narasimha. Or sometimes to keep the meter of the verse, instead of calling him as Narasimha, he is addressed as Nrisimha. So Nr also means man. And Pa means to protect. So Nripa means king. Very specifically means he who protects his citizens, his subjects with love and affection. So this address here is used for two reasons. First reason is to get the attention of Maharaj Parikshit. So when a speaker is speaking, he should make sure that the audience, the chief listener, is pretty much involved in the discussion. So nowadays, when you get into public speaking classes and courses, they give us this this nice piece of information that when you're giving talks, public talks, you make sure that you involve the audience. You take names, you ask them questions, and you bring them in your conversation so that no one dozes off, no one spaces out. So where is all that concept coming from? It's coming from the excellent, super excellent narrative speaker, the par excellent Shukadev Goswami, who can articulate like none other. So he's saying Nrupa here to get the attention of Maharaj Parikshit. Why? Because now there's a change in situation, in the flow of the story. He's not addressing the king while he's describing the mountains. But after describing the mountains, where there's a sudden change in the flow of the story, he is invoking the address. He's calling Maharaj Parikshit to gain his attention. And also the second reason why so then the question could be, he could have called him by the name, let's say Vishnu Ratha, he who was protected by Vishnu in the womb, that is Maharaj Parikshit. Or he could have called him by the word Rajan, or he who's the king. But why does he use the word Nripa? Nripa means he who protects his subjects, those who are under him. So that here the intention is, O king, if you protect your subjects with affection, you being a king of this world, if you are ready to protect your subjects with affection, don't you think Krishna will protect his devotees at the time of need? So, O king, don't worry. Now, whatever I'm going to tell you may send shivers down your spine, but don't worry. Just like you protect your citizens with love, Krishna will protect Gajendra in the flow of this pastime. So how beautifully every word is put together with so much emotions and so much logic. So tam tatra kaschin nrupadaiva choditaha graho baliyan, the powerful crocodile, what did he do? Charane rushagrahit. He accepted the feet of Gajendra with anger. So now the feet has been mentioned. So some paintings you'll see that Gajendra is biting from, the crocodile is biting Gajendra's feet from the side. While some paintings you see that he has accepted the whole feet of Gajendra into his mouth. So here Shukdev Goswami doesn't give details as to whether Gajendra bit from behind, the crocodile bit from behind or from the side, or he took the whole feet of Gajendra into his mouth. He just says Charane. So he accepted his feet. So we are free to interpret whether the attack was from the side or from behind, or he accepted the whole lotus feet of Gajendra into his powerful jaws. And also the word is Rusha. Rusha means anger, Rosha. So why is there anger? The anger is there because the crocodile feels that the pond or the lake is his residence. And how is this Gajendra coming into my home without prior notice? And he's coming there and showing off his grihastha skills. He's impressing and calling upon his wives and his other friends, male friends, and is trying to inspire his kids and showing his swimming skills and uprooting some lotuses and throwing in water and drinking and rain shower. So the crocodile is thinking, what is going on? You're getting into my house and showing off your grihastha skills, and I'm not very impressed. So that's where the anger is coming from. So now the third line, Yadrichaya Evam, has been discussed. Vyasanam gato gajo. So Vyasanam means a downfall. Vyasanam means suffering, danger very specifically. Vaktum samartha apina vakti kaschit aho jananam vyasanabhimukhyam. Jivhe bibaswam ritameta deva govinda damodara madhavi. Bilvamangala Thakur uses this word Vyasanam, that people who don't call upon the names of Krishna, they are very eager for their own downfall, to cause their own fall down. So Vyasanam means danger or fall down. So Vyasanam gata, gaja. Gaja is the elephant. The elephant attained some trouble. He got some dangerous. He put himself into a dangerous situation. Actually, Prabhupada writes in the purport of Queen Kunti's prayers that this material world is a dangerous place, and we have put ourselves in a dangerous place. Therefore, all that we can expect is danger. This is the purport. Prabhupada says there's so much danger here. So by putting ourselves in a dangerous place, all that we can expect is danger. And we see that. There's trouble almost every single step. Padam padam yat vipadam natesham. We say this, but we realize this only when there is struggle. Those who have debt, they are struggling because of lack of money. And those who get a lottery, they get a heart attack because of happiness, of not believing that they have too much money. So arthanam arjane dukkham arjitanam cha rakshane aye dukkham vaye dukkham dik arthan kashta shanshritan. That arthanam arjane dukkham, to get money one has to struggle and there is dukkha. And arjitanam cha rakshane, once that money has been earned, then there is dukkha, there is struggle in investing and storing and protecting it from from an attack. So, and when money is lost, then there is dukkha. So, aye dukkham, vaye dukkham. Whether money, the attempt to make money is there, there is dukkha. When money comes in, there is dukkha to save it and when to protect it. And when money is lost, there is dukkha. But still, the material existence moves around the cycle that in this dukkhamay situation, ultimately I will be happy. So this is really Ashcharyam. Yudhishthir Maharaj also says this same thing. Ahani ahani bhutani gachanti yamalayam sheshaha sthavaram icchanti kim ashcharyam ataha para. That there is so much struggling, everyone is dying, everyone is suffering, everyone is getting old and diseased and weeping and sobbing. Still, we look at this situation around, but we still think, I am going to be happy. I will definitely be happy. Hum honge kamyab ek din. Man mein hai vishwas, pura hai vishwas. Hum honge kamyab ek din. We will definitely be happy. If not today, tomorrow. So this dangerous situation is there. So as we have discussed previously, the crocodile represents all these different kinds of problems. Those who are not married, they have this concern that I'm not getting married, I'm already getting old, I'm going past my age. And those who are married, they're staying in the office up to 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night because they don't want to come home and see the face of their spouse. So both sides of the story are there, both sides of the coin are there. Those who are small, they are troubled by the big guns, they are troubled by the big people. The small beings are attacked by the big people. The small entities are attacked by the big entities. Whether humans, animals, or birds, it's the same story. So the big attack the small, but at the same time, the small trouble the big also. Imagine a crow sitting on the back of a tiger. The tiger can pull down any animal by its power. But if a crow is sitting on the neck of the tiger on the back and is pecking, the tiger cannot do anything. He just gets irritated. He'll struggle and the crow can just fly off. So there is struggle from the smallest piece to the biggest piece. To get rid of a disease, we put in a pill in our mouth or an injection. And then there are so many cases where the side effect of that injection causes some other symptoms in the body. So it's almost like playing a tennis match. We have to keep running to keep hitting the ball on the other side of the net. So troubles are coming in the form of balls, and one is trying to run from this end to that end, getting tired and trying to hit. But what to do? It never ends. So that is the situation here. Vyasanam gato gajo. Crocodile has caught the feet of Gajendra, and Gajendra has attained a troublesome position of danger. And yatha balam soti balo vichakrame. So the word bala has been used 2 times here. 4th line of the 27th verse. Those who are joining us right now, Hare Krishna, good evening. This is Canto 8, Chapter 2, Text 27. We are discussing the 4th line. So, Yatha Balam, to the best of his strength, that is Gajendra's strength. He's very powerful. So that first Bala refers to his strength. And Sa Ati Bala Vichakrame. Now the second Bala is Ati Bala, which means, first of all, he's very, very powerful. And then to the best of his power. So if he is as powerful as 100 units, he is trying more than 100. So first is Bala, his strength. And then the second is Ati Bala. The effort that he's putting in to get rid, to try to release himself is Ati Bala, more than what he is endowed with. So therefore, this is the scene that Gajendra is trying to get rid and release himself. And many times during this pastime, he releases himself. And instead of trying to attack the crocodile, he's trying to get to land. But the crocodile catches the feet of Gajendra again and chews in and drags him back into water. So again, Gajendra will try with all his strength and releases himself successfully. And again, the crocodile catches in some time. So this is understood. This is an inference to be understood. Text 28, translation. Thereafter, seeing Gajendra in that grave condition, his wives felt very, very sorry and began to cry. The other elephants wanted to help Gajendra, but because of the crocodile's great strength, they could not rescue him by grasping him from behind. So therefore the word here is tatha. So tatha refers to this situation continued in the next verse. So tatha here, tatha aturam yutapatim karenavo vikrishyamanam tarasa baliyasa. This has been described here. That seeing this situation of Gajendra, because there's a nice contrast here. Gajendra is struggling. Gajendra is struggling. And at the same time, he is losing a lot of blood because of this attack. And as the activity goes back and forth between Gajendra, who's very, very heavy and humongously strong, and the crocodile, who's also very powerful. The jaws of the crocodile can be very, very fatal. So here Gajendra is struggling, one. Second, he's losing a lot of blood. Three, the water is getting so unsteady by the constant activity. And Gajendra, moreover, is having a lot of emotional struggle because he is seeing his family struggle. Because his wives are crying, looking at the plight of the husband. Because the crocodile is strong, very, very strong. He's in his home ground. Please note, the crocodile is in his home ground. And he's fighting the elephant because he has confidence that he is going to do good. If the crocodile had to fight the elephant in land, then there would be some other concerns. But the crocodile is fighting Gajendra in water. He is very, very strong. He's biting. He's confident of his jaw and his bite. He's not letting go. And at the same time, the speed of his attack is very powerful. So Gajendra is slower. Crocodile is faster. Gajendra is strong. The crocodile is stronger because it is home ground. And at the same time, Gajendra is trying to let go and leave, and crocodile is not letting go. So there's a nice contrast. And seeing this, the wives are crying. They're seeing the plight of their husband. The husband who was protecting them, nourishing them. The wives are all crying. She-elephants are crying. Seeing that, the babies are crying. On one side, they're seeing their mothers cry. On the other side, they are seeing their fathers struggle. And at the same time, the other male elephants, they're also trying. So how Shukdev Goswami is saying? He's saying, Tarayitum na chashakan. That they are trying. Tarayitum. They are trying to free him. They are trying to free him and help him. So how are they doing it? All the male elephants, they're using their trunk and they're holding the feet of another male elephant ahead. And that male elephant is having his trunk holding the feet of Gajendra. So they're making a chain where the trunk is holding the feet of Gajendra and the feet of this elephant, helping elephant, has the trunk of another elephant behind, male elephant. And they're trying to pull, but they're all failing. They're all failing. It's not possible. And the fight is going on for a long time. So they're also giving up because they're getting tired. And at the same time, the children at that time are also hungry. They have to also find some food. So the male members would be there, but one elephant will go to find something, some food for the kids because they're also getting a little restless. So this fight is going on for a long time. So the male elephants are trying their bit. The kids are all crying. The wives are all crying. And Gajendra is losing this battle even emotionally and physically. So that is being explained here. The Bhagavatam very beautifully has a very nice verse in this regard. In the 10th canto, we see very, very beautiful verse. Pramatta muchchai iti kritya chintaya pravriddha lobham vishayeshu lalasam tvama pramatta sahasa bhipadhyate kshudle lihano hira ivakhumantakah. So the situation, the exact situation that has been described here has been described in the 10th canto also. So in the 51st chapter. So what the verse says is pramatta muchchaihi iti kritya chintaya. Every conditioned soul, pramattam, out of madness, not being alert to the eternal reality that we belong to Krishna, what he does, uchchaihi iti kritya chintaya. He is always making plans that I am going to do this, then tomorrow I will do this, and then finally once I achieve this, I will do this. You see, even in the interviews you're asked, where do you see 5 years down the line? Where do you see yourself 10 years down the line? Yeah. So pramattam uchchaihi iti kritya chintaya pravriddha lobham vishayeshu lalasam tvama pramatta sahasa vipadyase kshutle lihano hiriva khumantakah. So pramattam, the living entity, the conditioned soul, being completely maddened Pramattam. What is the madness about? The second line says, Pravritta lobham. Vriddha, pravritta lobham. He has unlimited greed, intense greed. For what? Vishayeshu lalasam. For desire to enjoy his senses, to be happy in this world. I want more for my tongue, I want more for my eyes, I want more for my ears, I want more for my belly, my genital, my sense of touch, my mind, gratification and glorification for the mind, and super sense gratification for all my gross senses. So Vishayeshu lalasam, because of this desire to enjoy, pravritta lobha, he has intense greed. What he has, how can I multiply? And what I don't have, how can I get? So because of this, he's pramatta. He is ready to do anything to get that. And as a result of which, iti kritya chintaya, he is making so many different arrangements. He's having so many different thoughts how to do this. And as a result of which, as he's doing this, what is happening? The Supreme Lord appears to him suddenly in the form of death. Tvam apramatta. He appears. So pramatta means madness, but apramatta means he who is not mad, he who is always intelligent, he who is always sane, and that is Krishna. So, O Krishna, tvam apramatta, you always being alert, what do? Sahasa abhipadyate. You naturally appear in front of this conditioned soul who's making all these big, lofty plans. And how do you appear? Kshudleli hano hirivakhumantakah. You appear like a snake appears, licking his fangs, hungry, looking at a mouse as death. Antakaha. So the Supreme Lord appears as death, like a snake appears, licking his tongue, ready to eat on the mouse. The mouse is making all his plans. I'm going to get my eatable, I'm going to store it in my hole. So he has his plans, but the snake changes it according to his sweet will. So similarly, the conditioned soul, like Gajendra here, is having his own ideas that in the pond of this material world, I will have my own sense gratification. I will have my own enjoyment. Pravritta lobham vishayeshu lalasam. But however, it takes a snake-like representation, which is the crocodile here, to appear, and one bite, that's all. All our plans are to pieces. So I want to thank our Govind Prabhu from the Bay Area for very kindly offering this verse in this context. So now text 29 and 30. Translation. O king, the elephant and the crocodile fought in this way, pulling one another in and out of the water for 1,000 years. Upon seeing the fight, the demigods were very, very surprised. Very surprised. So I'll repeat this again. O king, the elephant and the crocodile fought in this way, pulling one another in and out of the water for 1,000 years. Upon seeing the fight, the demigods were very surprised. And text 30. Thereafter, because of being pulled into the water and fighting for many long years, the elephant became diminished in his mental, physical, and sensual strength. The crocodile, on the contrary, being an animal of the water, increased in enthusiasm, physical strength, and sensual power. So many points to be discussed here. First of all, the point mentioned here is they were pulling each other in and out. Pulling each other in and out. So this is interesting. Why? Because Gajendra is naturally the animal of the land, and crocodile is naturally the animal, the water animal. So they are both wanting to play to their strength, and there is so much importance about swasthanam, or let's say our home ground advantage. Even in games, in different sports, you see home ground advantage. India and Pakistan are playing each other in India, and naturally the Indians are ecstatic in cricket that, oh, now the pitch is going to be in such a way that there'll be turn for the spinners, or let's say there's bounce for the fast pacers. In that way, India can have an upper edge in making the pitch favorable for their batsmen and their bowlers. The same thing if they're playing in Pakistan, well, the Pakistanis would be more enthusiastic, thinking that they have an upper end. Even India is playing Australia in Australia, or Australia is playing India in India, there's statistical differences because of home ground advantage. The audience, the whole energy is different. The pitch is tailored more for the team, the home team. And at the same time, there's a sense of comfort that I am playing in my hometown. So therefore, the crocodile is trying to pull Gajendra into water, and Gajendra is trying to pull himself out on land. So in Sanskrit it is said, Sthana pradhanam na balam pradhanam sthane sthita ka purushopi shura janami nagendra tava prabhavam kantham vina garjasi shankarasya. So there is a very interesting story how Vishnu once, he got on the back of Garuda and he flew to Kailash to meet Lord Shiva. Now we know that Lord Vishnu's order carrier is Garuda, while Lord Shiva's very dear associate on the throat is the snake. From the story of Kaliya, we know that the equation between the snake and the serpent is not so first class. Between the eagle, Garuda, and the snake is not so first class. So fearing Garuda's attack, Kaliya went and hid under Yamuna because Garuda had a curse from Shobhari Muni that he cannot touch the waters of the Yamuna. So naturally, Garuda and the snake, they are on opposite camps as enemy. Therefore, Garuda is also called as Uragari. Uraga means a snake and Ari means enemy. So Garuda is the enemy of the snakes. So now Lord Shiva has a snake on his throat and Vishnu is having Garuda as his order carrier. And both of them are opponents, and Garuda can rip the snake to pieces. He can eat him up. However, now what's happening when Vishnu comes to meet Shiva on the back of Garuda, the snake on the throat of Lord Shiva is hissing with so much enmity and so much vengeance and envy because he knows that he cannot be attacked now because Lord Shiva is there to protect him. So at that time, Garuda smiles and he says, Sthana pradhanam na balam pradhanam. That at this point, it is not the fight between strength. It is the fight of positions. Sthane sthita ka purushopi shura. If a weak person is also in a favorable situation, he can also act very strong. Janami nagendra tava prabhavam. O king of serpents on the neck of Lord Shiva, I actually know your I actually know your strength. If you were somewhere else, I would have ripped you to pieces. But now you are having the audacity to hiss because kantham vina garjasi shankarasya. You are actually sitting on the throat of Lord Shiva. Therefore, you have a higher advantage. You know that even if you hiss if you're hissing as if you're having a upper advantage, but it is because only that the sthana, the position where you're sitting, is very favorable for you. Also, we see that in the Ramayana, when Lord Ramachandra wins over Lanka, he tells Lakshmana a very beautiful statement. He says, Pitru purvajita bhumi daridrat api sukhavaha api swarnamayim Lanka name Lakshmana rochate. Oh dear Lakshmana, Ramchandra is saying. He says, Pitru purvajita bhumi daridrat api sukhavaha. Oh Lakshmana, now look at the Swarnamay Lanka. It is looking so beautiful because there is absence of Ravana. But let me still tell you, I would still prefer Ayodhya even if it is filled with sorrow, which is impossible. Ayodhya is not filled with sorrow. But Ramchandra is telling Lakshmana, even if Ayodhya is filled with sorrow, I will prefer to be in Ayodhya than to live in Lanka, which is filled with happiness. So he's trying to contrast the two situations, Sri Ramachandra. Now, after winning over Ravana, Lanka is ecstatic. But while he left Ayodhya, Ayodhya was mourning. So Ramchandra is saying, oh Lakshmana, don't think that now because Lanka is Suvarnamai, Ayodhya is also very opulent, but Ayodhya was mourning as I left and Lanka is rejoicing. I would still prefer Lanka because my home is where my heart is in the association of my devotees. That is where I want to be. So even Ramachandra puts a prominence to the sthana pradhana, the importance of being in the right place. This is why even in the Bhagavad Gita we see, when the Bhagavad Gita begins, the first phrase is Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yuyutsava Mamaka Pandavaschaiva Kima Kurvata Sanjaya. So this is a very vague statement, that question that Dhritarashtra Maharaj is asking Sanjaya. He's saying that after my sons and the sons of Pandu have assembled with a desire to fight on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, what did they do? It's like saying somebody is very hungry and has sat on a dining table and there's 56 items. He has put his, he has kept his position right, and he has picked up the fork and the spoon. Oh, now please tell me, what did he do? Of course he ate. What else will he do? So if two camps are coming face off on a battlefield, this question doesn't even make sense. What did they do? But the reason it makes sense is because of the first phrase, Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetra. The first phrase means Dhritarashtra Maharaj is having so much faith in the power potency of a positive place, a Dharma Kshetra like Kurukshetra. He is fearing, what if my sons who are adharma prominent and the sons of Pandu who are dharma prominent, they come to reconcile all their differences, because of the power potency of the place, if they fight, the sons of Pandu have an upper hand. However, on the other hand, if they don't fight, before the fight, it's possible that the Kauravas may have a change of heart because of the place that they are in. So the place has a lot of influence in the consciousness of the person. This is very, very important point. So therefore, one should try to be at the right place, a right spiritual spot. Now the question could be asked, can an ant ever touch the moon? Is it ever possible? What to speak of ant? A human being cannot touch the moon. But still the question is asked in Sanskrit literatures, in different kinds of poetries, that can the ant ever touch the moon? The answer is no. But the answer becomes yes if that ant is on the body of Lord Shiva. All that he has to do is just crawl up and touch the moon on the top of Lord Shiva's head. So just being in the right place, impossible things become possible. You see, impossible things become possible. Therefore, Gajendra is trying to find his home ground, that is land. And crocodile is trying to pull him back into water. There is so much importance in that first statement of the translation. O king, the elephant and the crocodile fought in this way, pulling one another in and out of water. And the same point is mentioned in the text 30 also, that crocodile, on the contrary, being an animal of the water. So since Prabhupada has, in this translation, translated the words of Shukdev Goswami in two consecutive verses, the same point, therefore I'm trying to spend more time on this point, that it is very important that we find the right association and the right place. One should never think that I am so advanced that I can be in any association and still remain Krishna conscious. That I could go for a movie and nothing will happen to my consciousness. I can interact with karmi people and nothing will happen to my consciousness. This is the problem. Gajendra was such a mighty elephant that he thought, I can enter water and what will happen to me? So we could be very advanced as senior devotees, quote unquote. But if we don't fear the influence of the place, then very soon we will be attacked. So one should try to be in favorable atmosphere. If one cannot be in devotee association, it's better to be alone and chant Hare Krishna than to be in a detrimental association. Even for one day, being in a detrimental association leaves such strong impressions in the consciousness that it can take us about 2-3 months to recover by chanting more from those impressions, by those atmosphere, that environment. Therefore, Shastra says, Nakra swasthanam asadhya gajendram api karshati sa eva prachyuta sthanat shunapi paribhuyate. That when the crocodile, so this is a very beautiful words by the acharyas, that the crocodile knows that if it attacks Gajendra in water, because it has home ground advantage, it can pull down the elephant also. On the other hand, if the crocodile comes out of water, shunapi paribhuyate, it is possible that 10 dogs may come around it and bark at it. As the crocodile is in the middle of land, 10 dogs from the different directions, they can keep barking. In India, finding stray dogs is not a problem. So just imagine if there are 10 stray dogs around and they can keep barking at the crocodile gets ridiculed. That same crocodile who can pull down an elephant mercilessly in water can get barked upon by 10 street stray dogs. So therefore, it is very, very important that we don't lose our spiritual focus and lose ourselves in bad association. So what are we making? What point are we making? The point that we are making is that this water that has been described in this story is the land of Maya, is the land of this material world. This material world is the water. What is the crocodile? That is Maya Shakti. So Maya Shakti has her upper hand in her hometown, which is this material world. Who is Gajendra? He may be very mighty, being part and parcel of Krishna. He is very, very strong. Bhumi rapo analo vayu kham mano buddhirevacha ahankara iti yamme bhinna prakriti rashtha aparayam itastvanyam prakritim vidhime param jiva bhuta mahabaho yayedam daryate jagat. Krishna says in the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita that there are material energy and there is spiritual energy, and the jiva can pick one out of the two. So belonging to Krishna, the jiva is very powerful. He is like Gajendra, he is very mighty. But when he enters the pond, which is the material world, which is dominated by the crocodile, which is Maya Shakti, even that big amsha of Krishna, even if he is as powerful as Gajendra, being an eternal part and parcel of Krishna, Maya in her home ground can pull down the jiva forever. Can pull down the jiva forever. Because it is her home ground. So the jiva should try, like Gajendra is doing, to get onto land, which is spiritual association. And it's interesting when this happens, when Maya, the crocodile by the name Maya, pulls the jiva in the form of Gajendra into the water pond of this material world, all the associates of the jivas in this world, they're simply looking and watching. They will see as the jiva is mercilessly dragged and attacked by material nature, and all that they can do is cry and give some condolences. That's all, nothing else. That's all that they can give. So text 31 makes that point. Text 31 translation. When the king of elephants saw that he was under the clutches of the crocodile by the will of providence and being embodied and circumstantially helpless, could not save himself from danger. He was extremely afraid of being killed. He consequently thought for a long time and finally reached to the following decision. So here in text 31, in fact 29, 30, 31, here is Gajendra, who is seeing himself mercilessly beaten black and blue by the crocodile. So that is the state of a jiva. Gajendra is the jiva who is in the pond, that is material world, and crocodile initially unseen, when Gajendra enters unseen. So that means material attacks are sudden and you cannot predict. They are not announced beforehand that Maya is going to attack at this point. We can be caught through any attack, and suddenly as he is trying to enjoy this world, Gajendra trying to enjoy the pond, you see the crocodile, that is Maya, attacks. And at that time Gajendra is trying for help, which means when one is in Maya and one is struggling, one tries to look for help around through all different plans. Health insurance, life insurance policies, property insurance, auto insurance, all of these insurances. None of this is going to help. None of this. All that the female elephants can do is cry. All that the baby elephants can do is cry. All that the male elephants can do is help. But nothing helps Gajendra from stopping to bleed. He's trying to get on the other side of the shore on his own, which means that is the attempt of the jiva to try to get rid of problems, thinking that if I try to fight and get out, I will be okay. But he fails. Miserably he fails. He miserably fails. So the problem was Gajendra getting into the place that he was not comfortable with. So on the other side, we could say, if by being in the wrong place, Gajendra can get weak, and crocodile being in the right place, he can get stronger. Because see, Gajendra, what's happening? Because it's Gajendra, he's a land animal, and crocodile is the water animal. Gajendra is trying to get to land and crocodile is trying to pull him back to water. Gajendra is getting weaker and weaker because for such a long time as 1,000 celestial years, he is having no food. On the other hand, the crocodile is getting nourished by water because that's his home. He's just in the middle releasing the catch. He's releasing the feet of Gajendra and he's trying to drink little water to hydrate himself again and again chewing on to Gajendra. And his body is very comfortable. On the other hand, you can imagine Gajendra is getting weaker and weaker because there is no food. It is a foreign land. For us to stand in water for some time, it gets tough. What to speak of someone going underwater and pulling our feet? And then what to speak of like a ferocious crocodile biting with the teeth, and there's blood and pulling us to death. So this is what material nature does. She causes us to bleed, but we think it is just a temporary bleeding. If I get out of this problem, I will be happy. Gajendra in that foreign land has no food, which means the jiva in this material world cannot be nourished by any source of material enjoyment. By any source of material enjoyment. When somebody has poison in their body, you can give them neem leaves and they can end up eating thousands and thousands of neem leaves, because when there is poison in the body, the person who eats neem leaves finds the taste of neem leaves to be very sweet. But when the poison is taken off his body and you tell him you actually ended up eating a bucket full of neem leaves, it is impossible for him to believe. Because he's thinking, how can I eat something as bitter as neem leaves? Because there's poison in the body, the person tastes bitter neem leaves to be very sweet. Similarly, when there is poison of this thought process that there is happiness in this world, even neem leaf like suffering in this world appears to be very, very juicy, very, very sweet, very, very sweet. The camel is chewing on its thorns and bleeding and tasting its own blood and thinking this taste is coming from the thorns. Prabhupada would give this example to say this is our situation. Absolutely our situation. So Gajendra is bleeding here, which means we are bleeding day by day in our battle with this material world. So on the positive side, if negative places, uncomfortable places can pull our consciousness and weaken our consciousness, what can be said about the Dham, which is not a temporary comfortable place. It is our eternal comfort place. It is our eternal home. This is why out of the 64 limbs of bhakti, top 5 limbs of bhakti are picked, of which one of them is Mathura Vas. Why is there so much emphasis on living in the Dham? Why is Rupa Goswami talking in Mathura Mahatmya and Vishwanath Chakravarti talking in Brajariti Chintamani and Raghunath Das Goswami speaking in Brajavilas Thava? Why are they speaking? Prabodhananda Saraswati has written Vrindavan Mahimamrita. There is no Atlanta Mahimamrita. There is no Mumbai Mahimamrita. There is no Delhi or Noida Mahimamrita. There is Vrindavan Mahimamrita. Because that is the Dham. When the Jiva goes to the Dham, naturally his spiritual consciousness, his spiritual frequency gets resonance and he makes so much advancement. Because that is the Swasthanam. That is the original place of the living being. Therefore, we should try to be in the association of devotees and try to learn from this pastime how we are being attacked by material nature, which is in the form of the crocodile. So we see also the point made in the verses that when Gajendra is looking around for help, he's having so much anxiety. The anxiety is, first of all, he's on the verge of death. So he has this anxiety, whether I will live or no, what will happen to me? If I live, will I be permanently injured? Will I be able to be the Gajendra that I was? And if I die, what will happen to my family? That same family who's not able to help him, Gajendra, even at the time of death, is not able to overcome his attachments. Therefore, Adi Shankaracharya says, Kate kanta kaste putra samsaro yamativa vichitra kasyatvam kaha kuta ayata tatvam vichintaya tadiha bhrata. Adi Shankaracharya says, Kate kanta. Hey Jiva, please ask this question to yourself. Who is your actual spouse? And kahte putra, who is your actual son? And samsara yamativa vichitra. It is very, very surprising in this world that people don't have answers to these questions, says Adi Shankaracharya. He says, Kate kanta kaste putra. Who is your spouse? Whose son are you and who's your son? And kasyatvam, whom do you actually belong to? And kahakuta ayata, where did you come from before this life and where are you going to go? Tattvam vichintaya tadiha bhrata. Oh brother, please think on these points before you make attachments in this world, says Adi Shankaracharya. Then again he continues, Yavat pavano nivasati dehe tavat prichhati kushalam gehe gatavati vayo deha paye bharya bhibhyati tasmin kaye. He says the nature of attachments in this world is Yavat pavano nivasati dehe. Till the time breath, pran, life air is there in the body, tavat prichhati kushalam gehe. Till then, everyone asks about our well-being. Till the time we are alive, because we can give them something. But gatavati vayo deha paye. As soon as life air leaves our body, bharya bibhyati tasmin kaye. Our own wife or our own spouse fears the dead body as soon as the life air goes. So till the time the life air, the Vayu Pran Shakti is there in the body, till then everyone loves us. But as soon as it's gone, they are ready to cremate the body. Family is the one who goes. The neighbors don't go. The family is the one who cremates. So the person for whom we have lived all our life, they are eager to throw us out, our body first out of the house. So we have time for all of them, but we don't have time for He who is our eternal master, to whom we are His eternal servant, who nourishes us even when we are in the womb of our mother. We have left our previous family and now we have not seen our new mother. We are in the womb. Who is feeding us at that time? Even when we come upside down through the mother's body in this world, who is the person who is our master, who is protecting us? When the jiva remembers this, that is knowledge. And when the jiva forgets, then he gets reminded by the crocodile bites in this world. So Gajendra is thinking, whether will I live or no, or will I die? If I live, how will I live? If I die, what will happen to my family? Oh, I am being physically drained. All my plans are failing. I am having no food. I am in a foreign land. This attack was not known to me. I am struggling here. That is the nature of all the jivas. We are struggling with emotional stress, with physical stress, with family stress, with relationship stress, with immigration stress, with national issues, with international issues, with domestic violence. How many issues we have? Gajendra had one crocodile. We are being bitten by so many crocodiles at the same time, but we don't realize. And not that all the crocodiles have to be pain, by the way. See, this jaw of Gajendra, the jaw of crocodile is very interesting. He can bite into the flesh of Gajendra, and one side of his jaw is very blunt. The teeth are very blunt. So which means when he chews into the flesh of Gajendra, Gajendra feels very nice. But on the other side, the teeth are very sharp. When he chews in with that side of the jaw, Gajendra feels pain. What does this mean? The crocodile called Maya has two sides in her, or the teeth in her mouth. One with blunt teeth, meaning happiness in this world. So when we are happy, we get happy things in this world, we think, oh, I have no problem. Actually, we are still in the mouth of the crocodile. The crocodile is biting us through teeth which are blunt, and that makes us forget Krishna. We are thinking, I am happy, so there is no emergency. And on the other side, in the same jaw, in the same set of teeth, there are sharp teeth which cause bleeding, and that is suffering. So at that time, we remember that I am struggling, but we still look around for help. We don't look up for help, we look around for help. So whether it is happiness in this world or distress in this world, it is only the strong biting of the crocodile of Maya which we should remember, which we often forget. So here we can, when we are reading this text, especially in 29, we see that, O king, the elephant and crocodile fought in this way, pulling one another in and out of water for 1,000 years. So someone could think, how is it possible? This is such a fictitious story. How could there be a fight for 1,000 years? Actually, the understanding is 1,000 years is nothing. The jiva has been fighting Maya for billions and billions of years from one body to another. We as Gajendra-like jivas have been in the crocodile bite of material nature for so many lifetimes. So here 1,000 years is just just a small blink of an eye. It's nothing in comparison to eternity. And therefore, upon seeing this fight, the demigods were very surprised. So which means that when we are wasting so many lives fighting Maya and still looking around for help, the demigods are surprised. They are thinking this Gajendra-like jiva is so dull that he is looking around for help. See, Gajendra is interesting. Till the time he looked around for help, he was struggling. But when he looked up for help, then there was only glory in his name. Eternally glorious. The fact that even today we are singing about him. So when he's seeing around, he's not glorious. But when he decides to look up, that is where true glory begins. So Gajendra-like jivas in the pond of this material world, caught by the jaws of the crocodile called Maya, when they look around for help, millions and billions and trillions and quadrillions and zillions of lifetimes are wasted. We are trying to find a material solution for a material problem. But when the jiva, following the footsteps of Gajendra, decides to look up for help, that is when there is a change of destiny, there is a change of destination, and the start of eternal glory for the jiva. So now in text 32 and 33, we see Gajendra coming to that conclusion. Translation 32 and 33. The other elephants, who are my friends and relatives, could not rescue me from this danger. What then to speak of my wives? They cannot do anything. It is by the will of providence that I have been attacked by this crocodile, and therefore I shall seek shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is always the shelter of everyone, even of great personalities. Prabhupada's purport, the last paragraph I would like to read, it is just mind-boggling. That is the elaboration of Prahlad Maharaj's prayer to Narasimhadev in the 7th canto. I want to read the last paragraph of Prabhupada's purport there to text 32. We may invent so many ways to be happy or to counteract the dangers of this material world, but unless our attempts are sanctioned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they will never make us happy. Those who try to be happy without taking shelter of the Supreme Lord are moodas, rascals. Namam dushkrita no mooda prapadyante naradhama. Those who are the lowest of men refuse to take to Krishna consciousness because they think they will be able to protect themselves without Krishna's care. Look how every sentence of Prabhupada's purport is actually like a torchlight giving explanation to this story. This is their mistake. The decision of the king of elephants, Gajendra, was correct. In such a dangerous position, he sought shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a beautiful purport. Actually, this can be framed in our homes. Whenever there is happiness or distress, we should take shelter of Krishna. Griheva vaneti take ha gauranga bole take narotama mage tarasanga. Whether we are inside the house or outside the house, those who look up to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Narottam Das Thakur says, I want the association of such a devotee. Even Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Sukhe dukhe bhule nako badane harinam bolore, gai gaurav madhur sware. Whether happiness or distress, don't forget chanting the holy name. Even Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Bol Hari Bol song, he says, Mana janme pe bhai bol Hari bol, sukhe thako dukhe thako bol Hari bol. Whether it is happiness or distress according to past karma, don't try to counteract it. When past karma is coming and we counteract, that creates a future karma. Therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, just tolerate so that the arrows of past karma will end one day. And use those situations to your advantage by remembering Sri Hari. That is how the consciousness gets even more deeper and more matured. Now, this is the last translation text for this chapter. We end chapter 2 then. Last verse, 33, Canto 8, chapter 2, text 33. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is certainly not known to everyone, but he is very powerful and influential. Therefore, although the serpent of eternal time, which is fearful in force, endlessly chases everyone, ready to swallow him, if one who fears the snake seeks shelter of the Supreme Lord, the Lord gives him protection, for even death runs away in fear of the Lord. I therefore surrender unto him, the great and powerful Supreme Authority, who is the actual shelter of everyone. Very, very interesting. So, the point made here is that the consciousness of the solution must be higher and better than the consciousness in which the problem was created. Albert Einstein said this, that the consciousness through which a problem is created is not the same consciousness through which it can be solved. If problems are material, solutions must be spiritual. Therefore, the only solution is in all situations to be happy, whether happiness or distress. The only solution, the Ramban, to all situations in life is to see Krishna's hand and to look up to him and remember him in every situation. We see the pastime of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj and Hiranyakashipu were two extreme opposites. Hiranyakashipu had everything. He had subjects, he had friends, he had an army, he had weapons, he had influence. In fact, even demigods would fear Hiranyakashipu. Just by the movement of his eyebrow, big leaders, they would think, oh, there is some problem, some mistake that we have made. Let us go and serve Hiranyakashipu. Even personalities like Narada Muni were singing glories of Hiranyakashipu temporarily to puff up his ego. So he had everything under control. And on the other hand, Prahlad Maharaj was only 5 years old, and he had no association. There was not a group that he was cultivating. There were, no friends to lead him to that path. He had no army, no influence, no weapons. And still we see Prahlad Maharaj, when he was living in the kingdom, the palace of Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyakashipu did not have many agendas, of which one was to trouble Prahlad. His only agenda was to kill his son. Only thing. So he was spending 24 hours a day just contemplating newer ways how to murder his son. Imagine we live in a house where the person whom we love the most, his only agenda is to kill us. We cannot even sleep peacefully. We are sleeping, we will think, what if that person brings in a butcher knife, a kitchen knife? What if he does this? What if he does that? When I am awake, he tries to push me at the feet of elephants. He throws me down a cliff, pushes me into fire, and attacks me with deadly weapon, administers poison, throws me in a pit of serpents. That is when I am awake. What if when I go to sleep, how will he treat me? If we were in that situation, we cannot survive. Emotionally, we will be drained. Even without that pressing a situation, we sometimes struggle emotionally and we give up. But not a single verse in the Bhagavatam where Prahlad Maharaj has fear, whether he is complaining, whether he has anger and retaliation, or he doubts Krishna's presence. Not a single verse, not a single word, where when Narasimhadev comes, he says, why do bad things happen to good people? Or why did you come so late? I was thinking you don't exist at all. I thought I was chanting the name, but you were busy in some work. You didn't have time to listen to my chanting. Or that I was afraid what will happen if you don't come. Good you ripped apart my father. He deserves it. Anyone who does Vaishnava Aparad against me, because I am Vaishnav, so he is offended, therefore he must get it. None of this. Prahlad Maharaj was as peaceful as ever at all times. This is why he is a Mahajan. Because whether it is happiness or distress, whether the outer cover of the situation is happiness or distress, Prahlad Maharaj could sniff, like a faithful dog can sniff and identify its master, irrespective of whatever attire the master comes in. The master can come in bathrobes, he can come in fancy dress, he can come in formal clothes, he can come in night clothes. The dog recognizes his master irrespective of the clothing. Similarly, if dogs in this world are so faithful to their masters, what to speak of great souls like Prahlad Maharaj? They, in all situations, in all forms, at all times and circumstances, can sniff, transcendently sniff, and see the hand and the presence of their Supreme Lord. This is Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is not the change of dress. Prabhupada did not bring in just a cultural change. Prabhupada wanted to bring in a change in consciousness. It is the international society for those who are always conscious about Krishna, or those who sincerely want to be conscious of Krishna. It is not a cult. It is not a brainwashing system. It is uplifting of our consciousness to the state where, irrespective of whatever comes in life, we are always happy. Such a beautiful gift that Prabhupada has given. A path by which we can see Krishna in all circumstances and not be influenced and kicked down by the happiness and distress dualities of this world. So therefore, Prahlad Maharaj was always peaceful. Why? Because he gave himself 100% to Krishna. He was happy. On the other hand, Hiranyakashipu materially had everything, but he was always restless, he was always agitated, he was always angry, he was always exploitative, and most importantly, he was miserable. Why? Because he was not ready to give himself to Krishna. But when we are ready to give ourselves to Krishna, that is when true happiness, that is when true peace, that is when true joy and satisfaction comes in our life. So you see the pastime of Gajendra. Gajendra, from this point on, he looks up to the Supreme Lord and he calls for help. So Gajendra being caught by the crocodile, Parikshit Maharaj being cursed by Shringi, Draupadi being disrobed by Dushasan. What is the commonality? The point when they agree to the situation and look up to Krishna for help, their lives become glorious. Their life becomes glorious. Parikshit Maharaj standout pastime in his life. When do we speak about other pastimes of Parikshit Maharaj? We speak about the pastime where even when there was a curse, He saw Krishna's hand and perfected his life. What are the other pastimes of Gajendra that we speak? The standout pastime of Gajendra is he looking up to Krishna for help. What are the other pastimes of Draupadi that we popularly discuss? The standout that we discuss about Draupadi, even the paintings of Draupadi that we see, are she calling out to Krishna for help? So a jiva becomes eternally glorious and he gets eternal fame and happiness when he looks up to Krishna. So when life throws lemons at us, we make a lemonade and offer it to Krishna. This is perfection. This is perfection. And when Gajendra decides to offer his consciousness to Krishna, that is when Krishna reciprocates. How does Krishna reciprocate? Krishna gives the thought in Gajendra's mind. It's interesting. So Gajendra is looking around for help and the thought comes in that I have to take shelter of Krishna. Where is that thought coming from? It is coming by Krishna's mercy. In Gajendra's past life, when he was King Indradyumna, he worshipped his deity and he chanted prayers and songs to his deity. When he left his body and became Gajendra, he forgot about the songs and the prayers he chanted to the deity, but the deity never forgot. King Indradyumna chanted Gajendra Stuti, the prayers that he chanted as Gajendra in his past life to his deity. And when he left his body and became Gajendra, he forgot. But the deity, the Supreme Lord, never forgot. Now, when his devotee in another body, in another life, was in desperate help and was not getting the right solution, the deity as Paramatma invoked the thought and gave him remembrances of 28 verses of eternal glory. When was the last time we saw an elephant sing Sanskrit verses and which are recorded in the Bhagavatam forever? This is actually the potency of Krishna's mercy. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayantite. If one is sincere to take shelter of Krishna, then Krishna gives the intelligence. We don't have to break our head. All that we have to do is, Krishna, in this circumstance, what should an ideal Vaishnava do? How should he act? If we act according to those train of thoughts and behavior according to Vaishnava culture, given in the Shastra and Sadhu and Guru, then Krishna will give intelligence in the heart. He makes this point again and again. Sarvasya chaham ridhisanni vishto matta smriti jnanam apohanam cha vedaischa sarvair ahameva vedyo vedanta krit vedavit eva chaham. In the Gita, Krishna has said, from me comes remembrance. If you want me, I will help you so that you can remember me. But if you don't want me, I will make you forget me. Even when you are in a temple, you are remembering something else. But if you want to remember me, even if you are at a workplace, you will remember me. So it's interesting. There are people who come to the temple also, but they're still busy in their own world. Why? Because they're not interested. They don't want Krishna. Therefore, Krishna does not give them remembrance. On the other hand, somebody, even if he happens to go into, let's say, a nightclub, he's going there with a Back to Godhead in his hand or a Bhagavad Gita in his hand to distribute. So, depending on the consciousness, Krishna gives remembrance. And past life bhajan that King Indradyumna performed to the deity, being invoked in this body as Gajendra, we see the practical example of Neha Bhikramana Shosti Pratyavayona Vidyate Swalpam Apyasya Dharmasya Prayate Mahato Bhayat. That little service performed to Krishna with sincerity, we may forget, even in this body, what to speak of future bodies. But Sri Krishna, who is the supreme epitome of gratitude and love and true unconditional selfless affection for the jivas, he never forgets. And Krishna wants us to be with him more than we want to be with him. Therefore, more than Gajendra trying to free himself, Krishna is desirous of freeing Gajendra. That is why in the first place he gave the thought in the heart of Gajendra that you please kindly remember me. So therefore that wraps up the second chapter of the 8th canto. Starting tomorrow, we will start with the third chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 8. And then in the flow, which will be session 11 onwards, we will see how beautifully the other verses unfold and welcome us into the immortal Gajendra Stuti, which will go on for a few sessions because there are 28 verses. So we will take our time to cover them at once. Having said that, I really want to be grateful to all the devotees for kindly participating amidst this corona pandemic that we are all struggling with. But devotees are very kind to kindly join and offer their auspicious presence and association. If not for all of you, I don't think I will be able to speak. I don't have the taste to speak amidst closed doors. So please kindly accept my obeisances in gratitude and appreciation for your invaluable time. Please forgive me for going over time today because I wanted Gajendra to be peaceful and not struggle in the caught of in the catch of the jaws, the mighty jaws of the crocodile. So let's see you tomorrow, same time, same place on Facebook Live with ever increasing enthusiasm, entering the beautiful mysteries of the prayers of Gajendra. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari.